and welcome to my 2026 Rosh Hashanah word. This morning, as I looked into the Spirit, I saw the Lord extending the timeline. The year was 2035. A significant turn had happened and a new revolution had just been announced. I looked closer into it and I beheld in front of me a newspaper. The newspaper read, "Has humanity opened Pandora's box?" The more I looked, the pages became clearer and clearer. It was as if the Lord wanted me to know that 2035 was a critical year for humanity itself. It was a time of great questioning. The age had turned and a new race had begun. It was unfettered, like the space race, but it was a different kind of race. A chase to be gods. Science, tech, AI, and religion had somehow joined hands into what appeared to be an entirely innocent alliance that begged the question, how far are nations willing to go? The Lord showed me that this age had lines that were clear. It was no longer right versus left. It was simply right versus wrong. I went forward again, and now somehow I found myself in 2040. And listen, I know some of you are going right, no, we're not going to be here in 2040. We're not going to be here in 2035. Jesus would have come by then. Listen, no one knows the hour. I'm just telling you what I saw. Somehow in this age, I beheld, and I couldn't see iPhone or Apple or any of those companies anywhere even in existence, but man had outrun themselves and were no longer entirely in charge. 2035 was the beginning of utopia and Pandora's box. But 2040, the utopia seemed to descend into a dystopia. Man, for the first time, was no longer the apex. We had ceded ground to our own creation, and the Lord showed me that now our creations were creating themselves. I began to see concepts that I could not describe to you, even if I tried. All I could say when I saw this and the Lord showed me this is, our creations were now creating themselves. These ages were significant to God because they announced a new curtain in humanity. A new veil had been taken away, and the church was asked by faith if they would prepare like in the days of Noah. And truly, we were in those days. The Lord showed me men carried on, but the world bounced between the question of Pandora's box, utopia, and dystopia. And that word Pandora's box was a key running theme of the next few years ahead. We had entered the world of our movies, and comparisons were being drawn that caused new technologies to emerge. Cancers were being all but eradicated. Men were making medicines that seemed to erase the deaf gene. We're talking about technologies that cured things that were created long ago, but somehow had managed to find their way to the forefront. And humanity was asking this question, how far? Technology had integrated into men. Options shifted into convenience, and convenience shifted into compulsory, and compulsory shifted into mandated. This future I truly beheld where we saw babies that were in certain countries being mandated to be microchipped from birth. I saw Switzerland, Sweden, Denmark, Germany, and much of Western Europe becoming forefront leaders in a world order that was forced upon us by the speed at which we were moving. Then the Lord brought me back to 2025, and he said these words, you have 5 years left. 5 years that will feel like 5 months. 5 months that will feel like 5 minutes. And the Lord says, for 5 years, I will give you to build your arks. 5 years to build your Goshens. 5 years for the church of my people to decide whether they want to be the head.
At IHG Hotels and Resorts, you can explore the neighborhood,